Today on the world's best four-wheel driving channel, we're finishing off this Midget, but you saw me wearing this shirt or a version of in one of the previous episodes of the Midget series, and you're like, we want one, but we didn't make them because these were like special edition crew-only shirts. We've made them for you, for the Driveway DIY crew. They're ready right now in the Mighty Car Mod shop. Click on the thing and grab one. Today, Martin, skid time.
That's right. And if you like living dangerously, you can also be in a workshop in a white shirt, which is a Superguard shirt, which you can also get. That's correct, it is skid time. This Midget has been an incredibly well-performing vehicle, but it did have one shortcoming, which is this.
Oh, it's struggling.
Open diff. It's such a handicap. You did really well. So as you can see, single peggers, people, no one likes them. I like them a little bit, but double peggers is where it's at. What am I talking about, people? I'm talking about this.
Now, we got this Midget done just in time for the new Super Cheap Auto Oils campaign for 2023. If you haven't seen that yet, check out the card, check out the link below. We got it done on the day. We're doing the Midget. We're also doing about, 30 or 40 other cars, I think, last year at the same time. It was a very, very big year.
Yep, your new Civic, heaps of cars.
And don't talk about my Civic, dude. I don't have a Civic, that's not true. Don't talk about the Civic. Don't talk about the Civic before race wars. What are we doing, Martin? No, run the graphics and then we'll show you this. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. How are you doing? I'm getting all blurry and up in your grill. Martin, drop it so I can kick it. Double kick, triple, quadruple, five-druple, six-all, seven-all, eight-all, nine-all.
Did you say,
oh, sorry.
Did you say eight-all or anal?
Nine. I said nine.
Oh, nine-all. Is that what happens next?
Yeah, well, Martin, you and I can disappear. Do you want to have a game of nine-hole with me, Martin?
Oh, what?
Nine-hole. Golf.
Sounds
Martin
rude.
and I were golfers in the new campaign.
We were.
Just sinking balls for days.
So, there was something that this little truck required, and I was speaking to our good mate Rob from Japan, and I said,
is there a turbocharger in here?
Is there any chance at all, being that these Midgets are have motorsport pedigree, that you can get a... Oh, there's so many boxes. This is the third box. Let's try again.
1, 2, 3.
Hold that. Is there any chance... Is this 4 boxes? Oh no, here we go. Is there any chance you can get the world's cutest limited slip diff center for a Daihatsu Midget? And it turns out you can, people. You know why? Because these little trucks, well no, this ute, but my truck,
it's a truck.
Daihatsu didn't really change the recipe much, and so it turns out that there's a demand in Japan for limited slip diffs. So we are fingers crossing that we will be able to install this thing into our little Midget, because it did do big single peggers. It was fun and fast, but it was always an issue getting it to properly skid. Correct?
And if I can bounce this on my head 3 times or more, or my foot, this project's going to be awesome. Watch this.
Shall we install it?
All right, let's install it.
The first step is to jack up your car.
I was reading the instructions, or the bits that I can read. So on the front, it has all the different models of truck that it fits. S200, S500. My tipper is an S510.
Who cares?
Heaps of people care about K-trucks, man. But the other bit of English that's in there says, this product is designed for use in Japan only. It must not be used in any other country.
Oh. Anyway, everybody, thanks for watching this video. Make sure you check out some merch. Leave a comment down below. We will abide by the Japanese rules and regulations. Get these wheels off!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. 7.
Our goal today is to turn this Midget into a skidding drift machine.
So what is a limited slip diff? Well, it's kind of in the name. We do have a video about putting one in a front-wheel drive car, which you can click here. In this case, a fully locked diff, where you might have welded it or you've got a particular kind of centre in it, means that both sides turn at the same speed. So when you turn around a corner, no matter what, you will get the same speed, and you often hear the tyres sort of chirping as people do tight turns. It's also, in some ways, a bit unsafe. And then you've got an open diff, which is what's in this, and when I turn it forwards, the other side will spin backwards, which is an easy way to check. And what we're going to do is put a limited slip diff in, which means there's some amount of slip allowed, and it will lock depending on what the setup of the actual centre is itself. So what we've got to do first is get these drive shafts out, take this off. The Midget does look a little bit different to other K-trucks in how the back works, so I'm crossing my fingers that it will fit. Apparently it will. So we're going to take that off, get the shafts out, and then drop all the stuff around the middle here to actually get the centre out.
The rear suspension design on the Midget is basic and very truck-like, in that it has leaf springs and both wheels move up and down as one. It's way less sophisticated than what you might find in a drift car or something more modern, but the diff swap is pretty straightforward. We just have to drain the oil, get the axles popped out of the diff centre, and then drop it out the front of the housing. The handbrake assembly holds the axles and bearings in place, so we have to undack those bolts and then pull the drive shafts out. Luckily ours weren't seized, but if they are, you'll probably need a huge puller or a slide hammer to smash them out.
Literally the opposite of most people's weekends, isn't it? Because when we're working on front wheel drive cars, you don't have that massive shaft in there. You've only got the little CVs, but it works the same way. See how it's got this on it? It's got like a snap ring thing that keeps it in. And then you've got the bearing here. And interestingly, on our one, new grease. Like someone has been in there recently.
What's that got to do with the weekend?
All that rubber's fresh. What?
What's that got to do with the weekend?
We were doing front wheel drive cars on the weekend.
Oh! Sorry.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I didn't know where you were going.
Oh.
Oh, yes, because on the weekend we did this on a front wheel drive car.
Exactly.
I thought you were saying this is the opposite of most people's weekend.
Is that what I said?
I think so.
Oh. Sorry, I'm tripping. Too many cashews. Hey, this grease is new and someone's been in here recently and that rubber is fresh and it's really greasy. So what that means is we're not going to really have to worry about leaks here, which is cool. It's got some weird schmoo there that's left over. I don't know what sealant that is. If you want to be really, really professional, you could change your bearings if they're a bit grindy. But I don't know if we've done a car like this before. I don't think I've ever taken a drive shaft out. I know everyone with a big American rear-wheel drive car is going to be like, what? Because that's how they'll work, solid axle.
Yep.
Live axle, is that what they call it? I don't know. Anyway, so now that we've got these shafts out, our diff should pop out. I think we got to undo a bolt up here and then the whole schnoot will fall.
We should be able to beat the nose off, I reckon.
I've had to change the diff in my 180SX drift car multiple times over the years, which is one complete enclosure, but in this case, we're just modifying the centre. A few hits with the hammer and we can knock the nose off and then remove the whole thing, revealing the magical mechanicals in the middle.
So this is our limited slip centre. You can see it's got like little stuff in there to make it grip up, little plates that are sort of like clutch packs. And then this is our open center and you can see the gears. One's called a spider gear, one's called like a pinion and something else. I don't really know because I drive lots of front wheel drive and all wheel drive stuff. But that's basically it. We're going to attach that to this. Usually you get a diff person to like set up your lash and do all that sort of stuff.
That's me.
That's him today. We're going to set up our lash to make sure that it's going to work. But this is going to work. I mean, I think it is.
So we just 1, 2, 3, 4, and this should just pop out.
Pull out, and then we've got to take that section off and then put that in. I think that's got to come out. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
We'll start with these 4.
Exactly.
We can thank racing cars and the Beatles for bringing attention to LSD, with Ferdinand Porsche kicking off a plan to stop wheel spin back in the 1930s with their Grand Prix cars, which had super skinny tyres. From here, the boghole trolls, also known as people who drive four-wheel drives, realised they had benefits too, as did the muscle car scene in the USA in the 1960s. They're pretty sophisticated these days, with all sorts of electro space wizard magic going on to make them do their job even better. But not on our Midget. Our version is devoid of computer control and pretty basic. We need to pull the bearings off so we can swap them onto our new centre, except we've run into a problem.
So things are looking good for us because the ring gear bolted straight onto our new limited slip diff. Everything else looks more or less the same. The problem we're having now is that these bearings, which are like the carrier bearings on the side, don't fit. So there's a good chance to do this upgrade you need a specific kind of bearing, which we don't have. Now we need to find out if it's possible to get a bearing that is bigger on the inside, in this case 35, and this one is 33. So it's whether you can now get a bearing that will do this job, and then if it'll even go in at all. So it's 62 on the outside and 35 on the inside by the looks of that. So if we can get that bearing, we can keep going, but we're going to have to go make a visit to the bearing shop. So that might be us cooked for today. Still, I'm hopeful that it's going to work.
We've been pretty lucky with this build so far, other than having to go to Japan to get a bunch of parts that we didn't have, but sometimes it's something little like this that stops you in your tracks. So for now, we've got to do some research online and try and find the bearings that we need. The drive shafts are a perfect fit, so there's only this one thing stopping us from getting this build finished.
We need a specific sized bearing that we can't actually get today anyway, so we've made a couple of calls to see what we need to do. We talked about maybe like putting this in a lathe and doing some more kind of drastic things, but we've decided we're just going to wait a day. So we will be back tomorrow morning. Obviously check that the drive shafts actually fit, which they do. You can't just get Daihatsu Midget stuff off the shelf here in Australia. We learned that when we had to go to Japan recently to get some parts. So for now, we've made a bunch of calls, spoken to some mates about how we can get something that will fit. The problem is this here fits on here like this. This does not fit on there. So this piece here is 1 millimetre all the way around thicker than that is, making it 2 millimetres thicker all up. So we've done the measurements, looked online, they are available in the States, are available in Japan. In Australia, we will have to find out, so we'll be back tomorrow.
The following day, with overnight parts from Sydney, we've managed to get the exact bearings we need. Well, that's not entirely true. They're 14mm thick instead of 16mm, but we're going to pack them with two 1mm shims to get the height the same. Then we're just going to cross our fingers and hope that it's going to work. Is it going to work? We've never done this before, so we have no idea, but we're going to press them on and keep going. Next up, we carefully tested the diff and set up the lash.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't, because we're not a diff shop, we don't really know what we're doing, and we're just keen to go and do a skid in our Midget. With the centre now officially upgraded, but with no evidence that it's actually going to work, we can put the car back together again.
So our new diff is in, and this is now spinning forwards, and if you go around and have a look at the other side, it should be spinning forwards as well, meaning that we have
Winning.
an upgrade, a proper upgrade for skids.
Yep.
So,
So also, should you take your car to or your diff to a diff specialist to get it all set up? The answer is yes.
yes,
Usually you should, for sure.
we
I mean,
didn't.
plenty of people change diffs and things in drift car parks and stuff, so it kind of depends what you're doing with the car and if you're going to drive it for 200,000 Ks or not. Yeah, we're just going to give it a mad thrashing, so pretty keen.
experimenting, Martin.
That's right.
Experimenting, see what happens. But anyway, so bleed the brakes, put that back together, put the wheels on, and then it's ready to test.
Last thing I'll mention, it's also fully reversible. So you can take that centre out and put your old centre back in to go open. You can take this out, change it to 1.5 or 2-way or 1-way, depending how you want it to behave.
As is the case with many of our projects, this one has ended up being way bigger than we'd anticipated, but also way better. Well, if it actually works. But what's more important than the nuts and bolts of a car build is the stories and adventures that it can inspire. This one was modified on a ridiculously short time frame for TV and sent us on a wild trip to Japan for parts. But now, after all this time, effort and work, we need to see if this little Daihatsu Midget can actually dance.
Daihatsu Midget 2, what an absolute monster of a miniature nugget. It was a huge build. Of course, it got way bigger than we expected it would be. We had to build the thing in a very short time frame over multiple countries, but we got there mostly because of this gentleman's incredible skill with Daihatsus.
Daihatsu big block 1 litres, everyone. EJD is doing a good job. They're a bit of a little smoky engine. They do bearings and rods and other things that we're not going to talk about right now. Don't worry, because in the Midget it's just perfect. And it does a good skid. And that diff, what a game changer for
Absolutely.
doing skids. It actually held skids.
Hold it sideways, first gear, second gear, third gear. Didn't try fourth gear yet, but that's a job for later on. But an incredible little car, really, really fun, makes great power, and of course is just like super unique. A single center seater, like
That's cool.
I think it's what drew me towards the car in the first place. It's just a little bit wacky, and that's why I love it.
And it just feels so cool, like from when you first got it, to driving it stock, to getting it chopped by the truck and all that sort of stuff to this point, it's like, it's just so good now.
Yeah.
It's noisy, it needs an exhaust, but aside from that, it's awesome.
It's been just a big job, that's all. It's been way bigger than expected, but really, really happy with it. So everybody, thank you for following this series. We're moving on to something completely different after this. But if you do want to support the show, and we do really appreciate those of you that support the show by grabbing a t-shirt or a sticker, it really, really does help us and directly goes into making the show better. You can do that at mightycarmods.com and we'll send it to you anywhere in the world.
Yes, we will.
Martin, well done, mate.
Thank you,
You've
mate.
got Daihatsu skills.
Thank you. You got skid skills.
Well, we are...
Who thought we could meld them together?
I know.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Anyway, see you next time, everybody, and thank you for supporting the show. Catch you later. Bye. Oh, yeah, we're getting in for a little gear knob wristy action.
What?
I said a little gear knob wristy action.
Is that?
No, I'm getting in the back. I can't fit. See you, everybody. Bye.
Oh, handbrake. Into the sunset we go.